I was doing some stuff to hopefully at some point in the near future finish off the rework for my combat. And I think, you know what, if I'm doing this anyway, I might as well live stream because why not, right? So I was working on my dash ability here, and this is going to probably take a little bit of trial and error to get fixed up and to get right, but we're gonna give it a try and we'll see. And just literally just as I start streaming, people text me because, of course, I'm going to just mute my phone to prevent any of that stuff from happening again. So what we're doing here is when we activate the ability, we disable the inputs, we set our mesh to invisible. I've skipped that for the time being, and then we move forward with a certain strength and duration. I need to troubleshoot that. Then we end the ability, and then we re-enable the player inputs. And that should be the basic why, because that's the wrong pin. That's why. That should be the basic idea behind all this. And then we also want a toggle visibility here. Let's just promote this to a variable. That feels like it's going to be nice to have, potentially. And move this aside a little bit so we can actually see what in the world is going on. Because we are also going to need to re-enable our visibility here. But I'm going to keep that. I just realized something. And that is this propagate the children thing probably should not be on, because that also applies to the... It does not. Okay, that is a good thing. So that, never mind. Hello. God, that font size is small on my chat. Game Dabix, I think that says. I really should put my chat in a better position. That's not like behind my microphone with a small font size. Let's actually see. I can probably like pop out chat and like just zoom in a little bit before I... That's a lot better. Okay. All that said though, going into the C++ code here. All that this does, we need to move into that gameplay ability, but we also need to like activate that gameplay ability. Also, my live preview for my stream just died. Hopefully that doesn't mean that the stream itself just died, because that wouldn't be good. If we take our ability system and we try activate ability by class, that's probably the easiest way to do that, I imagine. And then somewhere in here, I honestly don't care where we put it. I need to order this entire thing at some point anyway. We say you gameplay ability. Pointer, not pointer, needs to be a D sub class of your gameplay ability. And we'll call this dash ability. Man, I am loving the whole idea about Copilot actually like typing half my stuff for me. And then we try to do the dash ability and that should work. But the words "that should work," I say those on a fairly regular basis, and I say them even, yeah, I fucked up something there. You see? Already having issues. What is the actual issue though? Your gameplay ability is undeclared identifier? What the fuck? I mean, I have ability system components. I don't. Okay. That makes sense then. I thought I had the ability system component included here, but apparently I don't in the header file, which that makes a certain amount of sense. I am trying out the trial period for GitHub Copilot, so it's like 14 days free, and then it's like $10 a month or something, which is reasonable, honestly. I haven't done too much with it yet in C++ since I installed it, but those little things like what you just saw, I do like the idea. So now that we have that, I already gave the ability to dash to the player, so in theory, I'm going to mute my game. In theory, we should now dash. We do not. If we are in midair, we still don't dash. Okay. Why is that? I wonder. Let's try on activate ability. Oh, I know why that is. Because I didn't give dash ability a value. Edit defaults only. I do want to at some point like also try Outrider, because it seems like having an IDE that's specifically made, or at least like the Unreal version of it, specifically made for Unreal, especially in combination with Copilot, seems awesome. That said, Copilot seems to be able to reasonably easily read through your own code base, like all these classes that I have here. It can read through and find functions and variables from when it generates code. And as such, it also seems to be reading through the source code for the engine itself, which makes it fairly good at doing Unreal stuff as well. But I do believe Rider has some included stuff to do with the reflection system as well, if I understand correctly. But I haven't really done enough research on that before. Well, I'm moving. Not a lot, but I'm moving. Let's go back into the gameplay ability here. Make the duration significantly shorter, like 1/3 of a second, and then the strength is gonna have to be like 500 instead. But that's just fine-tuning. Okay. What if we made the strength 1500? Surely. Okay, that's a bit too much, but that feels better. That does feel better. So maybe 1,000 just in between those two is actually the number that we want. Also, let's set this to full screen. I feel like that's pretty good. And while we're at it, we also have a variable for the dash particles somewhere, I believe. So let's put that on blue, print read, and only blueprint read. That means I can't give it a new value, but I can run functions like activate on it, right? What's your issue again? Oh, it should not be in a private section. Sure. Let's move it somewhere public. Again, I'm going to need to reorganize this entire thing at some point anyway, because it's a fucking mess, this header file. So you might as well just throw it in somewhere, and that's a problem for future me to worry about, which is always a good attitude to have when making anything. Okay, so now let's also toggle visibility and from the character get dash particles, and we activate it. And then when the ability ends, we toggle the visibility back on and we deactivate it. Which, is it just called deactivate? It is. And then we also need to put in some things about like being invincible. Which, now that I think about that, means that I have to do some extra stuff in my damage effect. We'll get to that, okay? We'll get to that. So now that we do that, okay, that was a little laggy because it was compiling those shaders, but this effectively is my dash again. Now it needs to have a cost, and I hate that this happens with live coding sometimes. Which I think is the default class called gameplay effects. We'll worry about that in a moment. Actually, no, I think that's pretty easy to do. That is pretty easy to do. Let me just make that gameplay effect real quick. Because it should just use 1% of the max mana you have. So that's just getting the max mana, dividing it by 100, multiplying by 0.01, and subtracting it from the mana. So yeah, let's try to do that. Gameplay effect, mana dash cost. Let's just put the details all the way up here, and then that's an instant effect, and the modifier will be modifying the mana, and it will be using another attribute, that being the max mana, and then it will be multiplied by 0.01. The only thing that I'm not entirely sure about is I don't think there's by default there is any clamping behavior, so it will just allow you to do that when you have no MP. It's probably something I should have looked into. Yeah, I probably should have looked into that a little bit more before going live, but we'll figure it out. Gameplay effect, mana, dashing, cost, stuff. It's called commit ability, I believe, which is spend the resource related to that. So now it shoots. I mean, it's adding, it's not subtracting, which not exactly what I wanted, but it's doing something. So that's a start. Just make that a negative number, and we'll be good to go. Now I just need to do that 100 times to... Well, actually, I can do this pretty quickly. just to see whether or not it's built in that if a stat is 0, that committability will just prevent you from doing it. Because in theory, it should work that way, and it does! That saves me such a headache! Oh, that saves me such a headache. I can also imagine that being really annoying if you have stats that can go into the negative for whatever reason, but that is fantastic. That means dashing works. The only thing is, it doesn't feel like it actually disables my input. I think it does actually, like... Yeah, no, it disables the input. Okay. Then, next up, I think what we want to do is... I want to re-enable, because now I have something that will cost me magic. Actually, I'm not entirely sure about a couple of things. What I'm going to do first, because that is something that I'm sure about, is the damage effect, which somewhere around here, don't mind the spaghetti, just pretend like it's not there and we'll all be happier for it. I have this calculation class for damaging an enemy. Which is in my C++ classes. I don't know why it's not bringing that up. Right, that's somewhere in here. Damage enemy. Okay. That should also give me back some MP. And I fucking hate the fact that all this code like needs to exist in order to change some attributes, but that's how it works, so that's what we'll have to deal with. That's damage and strength and defense and health, and then we'll just make 2 more for... What is the attribute called again? I entirely forget. Let me go check. It's mana and max mana. Okay. So it's mana and max mana. Do make sure it's capitalized properly though. If I want to make a custom movement for my character in single player, should I use the character movement components or just try working with my pawn class? It really does depend on what kind of movement you want to make. By and large, I do like using the character movement components. It's supposed to specifically be used for like more humanoid type of movement, mostly. You can, I believe, I haven't done this myself, but I do believe you can extend the... I can just check, actually, I've got Unreal open. Let's see if I can do that. Let's actually see if I can do that in Blueprint as well. That might be a little more relevant. Can I make an extension on the character movement components? Not in Blueprint, which is a bit of a bummer. But can I in C++? So character... So yeah, you can make extensions on the character movement component if you're programming in C++. Apparently you can't on Blueprint. So that might be a good way to do it. Just take the character movement component as is and add your own code to it and maybe override some functions and make them work the way you want them to work. That gives you a good base to work of I would say. But you can also just make your own entire custom movement as well. If the movement you need is significantly different from what the character movement component usually does, that might be a better way to go about doing things. Then we need to capture the attributes, which are going to be, of course, mana from the source and max mana from the source. That's the wrong parameter. Then in get damage capture, we don't need to do anything. In the constructor, we need to add these two relevant captures. I'm going to be frank with you, I don't fully understand all of how this code works with the macros. As in, I know that it works, I know what I have to do, I don't exactly know the inner workings of everything here, because there's no good like information resources about that, which is fucked. Like, honestly, real fucked. But that is why I'm learning it myself, so I can hopefully help other people out that are also struggling with this at some point. Why hello there indeed. Let's see, we have the damage, we have the health, we have the strength, we have the... Okay, so all of this doesn't matter for the calculation we're doing here. But let's do it float mana 0. Are you going to... That is actually the line of code that I do need, so yeah, thank you. And then are you going to do the same with max mana? Oh, you are so amazing. Fucking love this. Copilot's already making me really, really happy. Do you ever, like, sleep at night, is my question. Because it doesn't seem like you do, which is fine, because that means that you can join live streams and stuff, which is cool with me. I like that. And then it should just be as simple as copying over this line of code and saying we want to increase our mana property by... And here we do need to do a little bit of math, actually. Because what we want to do is we want to... First and foremost, we're going to definitely need to clamp something. I don't know if I want to clamp. I probably just want to take the max value between two values, actually. One of those values is going to be max mana divided by 100, not 199, but 100. My voice is very clear. Well, I am like right up to the microphone because I like having a very good sounding voice. Good sounding audio. I don't know if my voice is good, but my audio at least is somewhat decent. It's a decent microphone. It's a USB mic, but still pretty decent. Let me focus you for a second, actually. Because if we want to have the maximum between... Maybe we want to take the minimum, actually. Because if we just do max mana, right? Minus our current mana. or 1% of our max mana, that will effectively... It's always going to be 1%, except when 1% would be more than this. And this will just give us the difference between the max and the current, meaning that it's never going to go over. It's a bit of a roundabout way of clamping things, but I think it works. So let's say float mana to add. Yeah, normal people are up until 8 AM, right? That's how normal people function, I think, maybe. I have heard. I don't know. I mean, it's 6 PM here and I'm just getting started programming, so what the fuck do I know? And also a hello and welcome to Firebolty, which I really like that name. I hope that I also will like the results of this damage calculation thing, because this is a thing that I've honestly been kind of dreading for a while. So first and foremost, let's see whether or not I can like go over the maximum here. It seems like the answer is no, so let's take some mana away from myself. I really just need to implement a heal ability. That's an easier way to take mana away. It doesn't seem like I'm actually gaining any though, so that's not great. Why would that be? So this is 100, that was like 80, so this would be 20. This would be 1. It should take the minimum between those, which would be 1, and add it back to my mana property. Why isn't that working? That is a very, very good question. Let's, just for shits and giggles, I mean, obviously this is going to show 0, but I'm just to be sure going to log this as mana to add. And I will add in a float here, and that float will be mana to add. Who could have thought? I mean, 8 AM to 4 PM is a pretty decent sleep, right? As long as you manage to like either have your bedroom be dark enough for that to work, or you just don't care about daylight when you're sleeping, which I know some people don't. I personally have no idea how anybody can live like that. Okay, let's hit a couple of enemies here. Okay, I hit an enemy a couple of times. Let's see, in the output log. Yeah, I probably should have seen that coming. Can I search the log? Yeah, I can. Okay, so mana to add, somewhere down here maybe. Mana to add is 0.0. Okay. And why is that? Some blackout curtains would probably be a better idea than shoving your head in a pillow. Yeah. that doesn't seem like the best way to go about doing that. Why is this doing weird stuff now? I mean, okay, different ID, different ID. It's not capturing right. That's my different ID for now. So damage and the strength are coming from the source, so this also... No, that seems to be capturing alright. That's definitely not the issue. Vertical curtains? How does that work? How do vertical... Please do explain, because I am genuinely curious. I'm also curious as to why the fuck this is not doing what I think it should be doing. Oh, blinds. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Calling them vertical curtains is a little weird, but I'll allow it. Let's just print out both the mana and the max mana, just to see whether or not they're getting captured alright, because I feel like they're not. I feel like that is the issue, and if they are not, I don't know why, because the code is literally identical to the other ones. Does Australia really just call them vertical curtains? Huh. Well, in a sense, you could argue that all curtains are vertical because they're always hanging down from the top, right? That's the idea about a curtain. But you move them horizontally, so... Huh. Okay, now that makes more sense. The fact that you're just wrong. Still, if they were called vertical curtains, that would be interesting. Still be fucking weird, but it would be interesting. Also, I do need to spend some MP before I... You know what? Before we go on and do this, maybe it's a... hold on, I thought I did a weird thing there. Yeah, it's definitely like spawning me in and out at weird timings, I think. And there should be a cooldown between when I can use those, but... That's not what this test is about. This test is very much about me, first and foremost, not dying. And then going into the output log here and checking the mana. Yeah, it's not capturing the mana at all. I wonder why. Honestly, having a separate, like, workroom and sleep room is great. I am literally, like, just a bit more than arm reach away from my bed at the moment, because I just live in one room. I have a separate bathroom, obviously. And I would very much prefer if there's literally, like, the same floor space with just a wall and a door would make such a fucking huge difference. Like, psychologically speaking. I would very much enjoy that. I'm going to blame live coding for this issue. So I'm going to close out the engine, and I'm just going to build from source real quick. Because I don't like admitting that I could be wrong, so I'm just going to blame the engine. Especially with live coding, it's such an unstable piece of shit. I'm very happy that I don't need to, like, recompile and relaunch the engine every single time I make a change, but it's also one of my first go-to things when something goes wrong. Is like, okay, let's just close down the engine and rebuild, because, like, you do this a couple of times, right? You do this a couple of times where you spend like an hour trying to debug something, and then the engine crashes, and you relaunch with a fresh, like, compile, and it just works. Turns out the issue was live coding. Also, yeah, C++, I mean, what's going on in this fucking class is a headache displayed on a page. But by and large, it's really not that big a deal. I do encourage anybody who's like at least vaguely interested in it to give C++ a shot, because it does open up some doors which you can't access through Blueprints. Like setting up things for the game playability system. Like, that is done in C++ and doesn't work in Blueprint. And yeah, okay. The building wasn't the issue. So it is something in my code that's not working, and that makes me sad. Well, Unity kind of has live coding built in just as a normal thing, right? Because when you update the script, you can just reload and the script just works, right? Because the scripts aren't like the C# script, but the engine itself is written in C++. When I change something in my project here and I need to recompile, it actually needs to recompile the whole damn engine, because I also have all of the engine source code available here. So in a way, Unity just straight up does live coding better than Unreal. But again, that's because the C# scripts are like simply assets within the engine rather than being inherently so tightly linked to the engine code itself, which is definitely an upside. Having those things be separate and not having to recompile the entire engine. It also means that when a script like has some issue and crashes, the chance of the whole damn editor closing down are significantly lower in Unity. Also, Thunderstorm coming, I think. Okay, so what is my C++ issue here then? That is my next question. I was looking at that. It's not capturing these things, right? So let's go through this one word at a time. Right? We have the execution params. Attempt, that's the same. Damage capture, it's the same. Then we have the mana definition. It's the same as there. And that also matches all that. So what the actual fuck? Okay, so I have the problem here that I am... Like, I'm initializing... I don't want a breakpoint there. I'm initializing a variable here. Then I'm giving it a value. Let's just see whether or not there's any... It should give me a compiler, or if that's the case, but I don't know. At this point, I just want to try. But yeah, so I'm initializing a variable here, and then trying to give it a value with this from reading it from an attribute on my character. Then I'm doing a little bit of math here with it to subtract it from that attribute. The issue, though, is that these values don't seem to be capturing and getting put into here. So that is an issue. I don't think this will make a difference, changing the variable names. But I feel like maybe for some reason it's having some weird conflict. Try checking if the value is correct. Well, that's what I'm doing here, is I'm just printing out the two values that I'm trying to capture, and they both print out to being 0. Like, I could also just get rid of these lines and just immediately set them to the capture value. You shouldn't change two things at once while debugging. That's a really bad idea. But again, I'm pretty sure that it wasn't anything to do with names. Okay, we attacked a couple of times. Let's go back to safety. If it wasn't typed correctly, the code just wouldn't compile to begin with. Okay, now it's reading them as 1. Hold on, this seems to make sense. Hold on, this seems to... I probably probably should label these a little bit better. Let's call this mana and mana max. Then stop playing here. Live coding again. No, I'm just... no, this is literally how I left it last time. You can see if I go into a different room that I haven't done yet, like it's still very dark in here, and I haven't done anything about the lighting here. This is just a particularly like bright room comparatively. Even going back into here, I haven't done anything about the lighting. I'm also going to put the output log on my other monitor here so I can actually like see in real time what's going on. Okay, let's waste some MP. Okay, now it's reading mana and max mana both as 1 constantly. Which is weird because it was reading it as 0 before, but in the interim there it did read them as the proper values for like a second. I do also use blueprints a lot. Like the whole like gameplay ability itself is in blueprints, so there's just some things that I do need to do in C++ and some things that I like to do in C++. Okay, now it's giving me the proper values. I don't know what the fuck is going on. But at least that is something. So now why isn't it adding? That's the next question. Let's add back in the mana to add. And print that out as well. Your shape? I'm assuming that's a typo. No, it does have to do with the code that I'm working on here. Because like the enemy itself literally has no idea what's happening. That's all on the gameplay damage calculation stuff. Mana to add is 0. That makes sense. If I use up some mana, now my mana to add is 1. It just doesn't add it. So maybe I did use the wrong variable here. No, I used the right one. Huh. I wonder why that is. Because as you can see, I have the like output modifier. You choose the property, you choose the operation, which is additive, and then you choose the amount. That matches like beat for beat here. Unless I'm missing something like up here in the capture and the definition. Yeah, people are really like up their own ass about the engine that they use. Like both Unreal people and Unity people, and both are idiots. It's just the Unity people are like slightly more idiot. Just kidding. Though with recent events, I don't know. So it is reading and capturing from the mana definition. Why isn't it adding back to the mana property is the question then, right? Is it possible to take a 3D model and erase doors to add dynamic doors? I have a game I want to make all buildings that I... Not entirely sure what you're getting at. But if you're trying to do real-time Boolean shit, I would advise probably don't do that. You're way better off just letting it slide into a wall, for instance. If you want to have sliding doors, just put the door in a wall and just let the door slide into the wall and clip in there. Unless those walls are made of glass, in which case you're just kind of fucked. It does do the capturing, so that can't be the fucking issue. You know what we do when we don't know what to do? I go to fucking ChatGPT, is what I do. The chance that ChatGPT, with the lack of documentation on this kind of code, knows what is up here is very low. But let's just say my mana to add isn't being added to the mana property using this code. Just see if it has any IDs. Capture attributes. They are being captured properly because they're being read properly. Yeah, so that doesn't do shit. As I thought it wouldn't. I'm just gonna like add it times 100 just for like troubleshooting purposes, seeing if now it suddenly does do something. At least it'll be easily noticeable. Also, if like my stream dies, I do see a lot of flashes of light outside, so that might just be like a lightning related problem. Waste a little bit of MP. And see. It's not adding to the mana. Why is it not adding to the mana? Oh yeah, sure, you can definitely like create a full ass game with just visual scripting. I think for the most part, that's the idea behind Fortnite, is that it is mostly, not entirely, because I do know it uses the gameplay ability system, which inherently has some C++ related to it. If you're working in Blueprint, at least like in Unreal, you can make an entire ass game with just visual scripting. Of course, there's certain things that you are not going to be able to do, but for the most part, it's not going to be a problem. Other engines visual scripting, I don't know as much about. Like, I know Unity has some, but from what I understand, it's fucking ass on performance. And it's not as well built as Unreal's. But that's just what I've heard. I haven't used it personally, because when I used Unity, I worked with C#, and then I went back to Unreal, and I work with both Blueprint and C++, which is kind of the best of both worlds. It kind of depends. If you're just like a one-man show, it's entirely fine if you don't want to put the effort into learning C++. I still do recommend it, if nothing else, like for understandability. Like writing C++ really does make you understand like what the nodes are doing in your visual scripting a lot better, which will make your visual scripting better as well. Hollow Knight was made with visual scripting, like entirely? That is honestly surprising. Well, actually, now that I think about it, it's honestly not that surprising, because as amazing a game as Hollow Knight is, it's like not very mechanically complex, right? It's pretty simple, mechanically speaking. It's mostly like the insanely good art direction and just art in general, combined with some very basic gameplay and very good dungeon design that makes the game amazing. It's not like very mechanically deep. Anyway, I'm going to go to the bathroom, and when I come back, I'm gonna have an answer as to what the fuck is going on here. I probably won't. Okay, as promised, I am back, and I have no idea still what the actual fucking issue is. So let's try and figure it out. I think a few features were made with C#, but mostly I believe was made by an artist. I mean, that makes sense. Again, it's not very like technically complex, I don't think. It's just very pretty, which I love. Absolutely love. Love the music. Love everything about that game. I mean, it doesn't come as much of a surprise that Hollow Knight definitely is like part of my inspiration in certain ways. Also, politics can go fuck off. I mean, Unreal is often said to be more difficult than Unity. I thoroughly disagree. Unreal has more complexities and is more intimidating. That I will 100% give you. But the fact that all that pre-exists in Unreal makes it easier to more quickly make something and learn as you go. It also forces you more into like a predefined game development structure and workflow, where Unity is a lot looser. And if you don't have much experience in making games, that looseness of Unity can actually be a downside. Okay, now, why is my mana not being updated? The mana to add is being set to 1. Why is there a dot there? I just put that there, right? That wasn't there before. No, that wasn't there before. Okay. I'm just going to check if I... So in theory, right? Just as a thought experiment, if I set this to subtract, will it do that? Because if it does, I'm going to lose my mind. At least I'll have some inkling as to what is going on. If... No, it just doesn't do anything. Okay. Oh, hold on. It's in Visual Studio. I'm just going to say add 10. It shouldn't make a difference. I'm gonna try. Waste a little bit of mana. Yeah, no, that line of code just literally isn't doing anything. I mean, AI tools are really good, but honestly, for the most part, in an assistant way. I don't think generative AI, at least at the moment, for the most part, is quite there in the way of replacing people. But it makes like your job a lot easier, like as a tool that will help you. That much is for sure. I'm just gonna try putting it on top. Like, we are... You know, that works for me. We are well into, like, superstition at this point, because moving this line of code to the top here shouldn't do anything. Shouldn't make a difference. But at this point, reading through the code that's there, it should just work to begin with. So, yeah, that doesn't make a difference at all. Huh. Let's just see if Google has any answers for us. The old-fashioned way. Unreal Gameplay Ability System. What is this class called again? The parent class, that is Gameplay Effect Execution Calculation. Not working. There's so little information on this fucking system, it's kind of insane. Yeah, see, here's somebody with an issue, nobody responds because nobody uses this system apparently. Or at least nobody who is active on the forums. Yeah, there's replication related, it's not... Not what I'm looking for. Yeah, no, Googling doesn't seem like much of an answer either. Okay, let's try to be creative here. Let's try to be creative. My creativity has just left me. I have no idea. Let's triple check here my gameplay attribute. It is called mana, not MP. Mana. Mana. Building a cemetery in Unity. For your money? Because Unity is fucking you. Oh my god, that's the worst joke ever. Okay, I'm gonna do something different. Well, am I? No, I'm not. This just should work. I'm gonna be stubborn about this. This should work, so I'm going to make it work. I don't know how yet, but I'm going to fucking make this work. I'll give you one thing. Specifically, the documentation on Unity side is so much better than the documentation for Unreal. Like, Unreal has a couple of tutorials in which they show things on their website. Unity documentation, when you look something up, it almost always comes with an example. They're not always particularly good examples, but Unreal, especially for the blueprint nodes documentation, it's literally just a screenshot of the node with the input and output pins, and that's it. Doesn't explain shit about what it does. For the C++ documentation, it's a little bit better because you don't need to send me an email about the fact that I'm live while I'm live. YouTube, that doesn't seem to check out. The C++ documentation is a little bit better, but still not particularly good. And there's definitely more users for Unity, and as such, more content. Okay, that is actually a pretty good point. If you got hacked, you would very much want to get an email about it while you were alive. You do make a good point there. I didn't think about that, but that is a very, very good point. Okay, so this is out execution outputs. Do I need to do anything regarding that? Is that what is fucking me up here? This is the execution params. Execution params. What is... It's just not doing it. Okay, we're going to try something else. I'm going to comment out this line of code to make sure that that's not what's happening here. And in this gameplay effect, we're just going to manually add a second modifier in to see whether or not it's just that attribute being a fuckhead. Because I feel like it might be. So let's add another modifier here. And let's just say that we want the attribute mana. And we want to add like 10 to that. Does that work? Yeah, definitely wouldn't want that email after. Yeah, so this doesn't seem to work either. Let's just, to be sure, check. It just simply does not want to update my mana. Why the fuck not? It's updating my health, no problem. Well, it's updating their health, no problem. Oh, could that be part of the issue? That could very well be part of the issue, actually. The source actor... I forget how to print out names here, but let's see, the source actor... Maybe it's just not taking the source actor properly. Like get name, which is returning probably an F name. F string. Okay, so I'm assuming that's %s. We'll figure out soon enough. It's not. Do we just need to make a normal string out of this? So do we just do... Does that work to string? Probably not. That doesn't... I don't think that will work. No. I'll just Google real quick. Unreal C++ log F string. %s strings are wanted as tchar pointer by log, so you should use... I fucking hate the fact that you need to use the asterisk for that. I always forget about that. So now it works. Fantastic. I honestly have never really used wireless. Well, I've used them, but okay. Okay, this is interesting. This is very, very interesting. You probably can't read it. But the source is actually being set to being the thing that I'm hitting and not myself. So let's see in the sword base attack when I apply this gameplay effect, wherever it the fuck might be. But huh? So is he both the source and the target actor? Like both? Because that doesn't make a lot of sense, because it's definitely like two different pins putting in there. Do I just have the pins mixed up? No, because the target it deals damage to the enemy, so that still does work. You know, it just uses the same for both. So is that an issue with my code up here? See, this is a bit of code that I copy pasted, so I'm not entirely sure. Get target abilities and oh, that's the issue. That's the issue. This needs to be source. Okay, let's. I think I figured it out, guys. I think I figured it out. I think we are there. Which also means that I'm actually going to like remove this thing from here, because that's no longer necessary for troubleshooting purposes, and it's probably just going to end up confusing me more. Let's waste some MP, and now when I hit this, I will regain. No, I will not. I will do no such thing. Do I still have them the wrong way around? So that could definitely be a thing, right? We've made progress though. We've made progress. We fixed one thing. That just didn't fix everything. Also, I'm going to... Yeah, that works a lot better for me. On my second monitor, having both the chat and my output log up. Not having to switch back and forth. Let's see. Well, I actually need to hit something in order to check. The source is the character and the target is the demon. Okay, so that lines up. Is the stream infinitely loading? Does anybody else have that problem? Because I'm not dropping any frames. So that is a viewer issue or a YouTube issue. Either way, not something I can do particularly much about. At this point, though, one has to wonder why it's still not adding. because this is entirely right now. These are tags, so that doesn't really impact anything that we're doing here. So we have the mana property gotten from this. It says we have 90 mana. Our max is 100, so it adds 1. And it has the proper source actor and the proper target actor. And yet our code is still not working. So let's go back into our enemy damage thing here. And we go into our modifier, see if this now works. So we want to go into our attribute set for mana. We want to add like 10 to it. But surely we need to specify whether it adds this to the source or the target somewhere, right? So that might be part of the issue. Is that it's trying to do something on the source, while this only applies modifiers to the target? Let me try and troubleshoot that on Google real quick. Unreal Gameplay Ability System, modifier to source. Let's see if this person has the same issue as me. Trying to implement a lifesteal ability. Okay, so it's the same thing that I'm having. That's because the flow is this. Apply gameplay effect to target. Target damage calculation to... what you're trying to implement is apply gameplay effects to target and source. I implement lifesteal with apply mod to attribute. Let's try that then. That is our source ability system components. apply mod to attributes, and then we have our u gas player attribute sets, get mana attribute additive. Okay, so according to a random person on the internet, this should now work. And people on the internet would never lie or present false information or anything of the sort, right? So by all logic of people on the internet being the most knowledgeable and the most honest people in the world, my code will now work. And with my code, I mean, well, yeah, it is my code. I still fairly, okay? Oh my god, it actually does work! Okay. Does it clamp? It also clamps to the max value. It works! Fantastic. Okay, so now let's get rid of those logs because they're going to give me a heart attack because they're marked as errors. Okay, so that is good to know. Out execution is only for applying things to the target, not to the source. The source you want to directly apply a modification to, like that. Good. Your elbow hurts? How does your elbow hurt from using a wired mouse? Or did you just hurt it unrelated to the whole mouse issue? Other elbow. That's... I don't know if that's better. Yeah, so I definitely have an issue with the dash where my player character is not getting disabled. So let's do get player character instead. And also in this gameplay ability we have like class defaults, class here cooldown gameplay effect class. So I just make a empty gameplay effect that has a duration, is what you're telling me. I think that's what they're telling me. So let's just make an empty gameplay effect with a duration. Gameplay effect. Dash cooldown. Which opens up on my other monitor for reasons unknown. So we just set this to has duration, and then we just set the duration to like 0.2, like a fifth of a second. And that should prevent me from spamming it in theory now. I mean, it doesn't. It just straight up doesn't. Like, not even close. At least the input cancelling seems to work now, somewhat. Yeah, the whole slow-mo thing is still broken as well. If your elbow just randomly hurting some days doesn't seem like a good thing, I'm not gonna lie to you. That doesn't seem like oh, it just do be that way kind of thing. Okay, so how do these cooldowns work? Because we have... will be applied when the ability is committed and the ability can't be used again until expired. Okay, so let's... oh, because when it's committed, not when it's ended. Oh, but that's fucking stupid. Because I want to... I want to not be able to use the ability for a certain amount of time after I've used it, not after after it's ended being used, not after I've initially started using it. Like that is a significant difference. And still, it does not seem to be fucking doing shit. Let's just set it to 100 and see what happens. Like, by all logic, this should mean that I can't use it for like a minute and a half. I don't know if you're counting, but there's less than a minute and a half between every single one of these dashes. You finally loaded in. Welcome. I don't know why it took so long to load in. Okay, I'm gonna Google this because I do actually want to like figure this out properly. Unreal gas cooldown. How does that work? Let's see. Okay, so we have has duration. There could be interesting like implications of this because you could set this to infinite and disallow that ability until you explicitly allow it again, which is very interesting. When a gameplay effect expires, any tags added or removed get undone. That's not what I want to know, though. I'm just gonna quickly like scrub through this video and see if I can get an answer. You just set it to a gameplay ability with a duration. This has 5 seconds. Are the tags necessary? Because that seems stupid to make it necessary. To have tags. I know this is not very interesting content, by the way. I'm just trying to figure out what the hell... why this isn't working. Because I've got this dash cooldown ability, which shouldn't... allow me to dash again. All you need to do for a cooldown effect is set the policy to has duration and set the scalable float magnitude to the duration that you want. Then in tags, grant a tag section, add a tag, whatever you want to use for your tag cooldown to the add. Okay, so we do need to, I think it's in components these days. Granting tags. let's just add a like cooldown dot. Oh, hold on, that we need to do that here. Cooldown dot dash. It does make a certain amount of sense that you do need a tag for this actually, because it probably checks whether or not it has the tag. So this just adds the tag and then removes it again. Now that I think about that, that does make perfect sense. Yeah, so it probably will just work now. Yep, okay, that was the issue. I needed to add a tag. Which now, again, now that I think about it, does make sense, but it is a little fucked. So let's set this to like half a second, because I think the dash itself takes about 0.3 seconds. So now I shouldn't be able to spam it as much. I mean, that seems decent enough. Maybe there needs to be a little more time between. 0.75. Oh, OBS disconnected and reconnected. That's not a good thing. Are we still live? Are we still live? Let me check. That's never a good thing when OBS disconnects. It does say excellent connection at the moment though, so Stream Health says it's good as well. I'm going to just trust YouTube, which is something that you shouldn't ever do. Don't trust YouTube because, well, it's YouTube. Why should you trust it? Let's see, can we... That seems pretty good pace for like spamming. Okay, so then there is the issue that... And this I don't know how to fix right away. There's also an issue with the dash, right? Because as it stands, the dash just moves you forward in the direction that you're facing, which for the most part works fine. Unless you are like hammering away at an enemy and you suddenly want to dash away, it takes like a fifth of a second, a quarter of a second, something like that to turn around. So what you would need to do is turn around and then dash. I've had multiple people playtesting feel like they're getting stuck on stuff because they're trying to dash away too quickly. Part of me is like, yeah, but maybe just get good. But it's an issue that multiple people are having, so it's probably something that I should fix. I probably should have a system set up where if you dash and you're not like turned around yet, it should dash in the direction that you're inputting, not the direction that you're currently facing. But I don't think I have like easily direct access to that information is the issue. Oh, you want my opinion? In that case, I will... Very glad that I wasn't streamer mode. That looked like a good outline so far. Is that like manually built, or is this with like a spline system or something like that? Looks like there could be a lot of dead people in there, which is good. I'm taking it this is for some kind of like zombie horror type game. Manual. Okay, that seems like a lot of effort. Then again, it's probably like if you're only like making this one wall, it's probably less effort than making code to do it. I am personally a little like over obsessed sometimes with putting things into code so that they're easily reusable. It's not always the best thing, but like that's a thing that I do. I mean, I assumed since you were making a cemetery that it would be like zombies or skeletons or something like that. But of course, like you can put anything you want in there. In the end. Let's see. Do we have like inputs? Information in any way, shape, or form? Get last movement input vector? Maybe that works? Oh, but that needs to be... Oh, hold on. Maybe that does work. Hold on. Maybe that does work. It's kind of a difficult thing to test, is the issue. First and foremost. Okay, I'm not moving forward at all. So it's only when I'm moving that I'm actually... Okay. It is turning me around in like a snap snap moment. So that does actually just seem to fix the issue. Now all I need to do is also set forward. Can I not set the forward vector? Oh, that kind of sucks. Because now I need to, I suppose, maybe. This is just an ID, but if I can like make a rotator out of this. I think make rotation from X. And then we can use that to set rotation. That might fix that issue, which would be a big deal because I would have fixed an issue that I've been nervous about for a while in like 2 minutes. Which again, it's a bit tricky to... So yeah, the only issue there is that if I'm not moving... So I probably should check the velocity. If the velocity is 0, it should be the forward vector. And otherwise it should be your movement vector or something like that. But that does seem to be working. Okay, so get character movements. Get the velocity. Length. Not entirely sure how we're going to go about doing this. If that's greater than 0, we will do this. And if it is 0, we'll just use the forward vector again. From the actor. And then I need to start cleaning up the spaghetti because it's actually looking horrible. And I think we'll just promote this to a variable dash direction. So if it's true, we'll set the dash direction to that. If it's false, we'll set it to the forward vector. And then we will use a dash direction for the world direction. I think this solves the issue. I can give you the role on the Discord server. I have a specific channel for playtesters, so we don't like bog down everything. Okay, that works. And that also works. So if I walk that direction and very quickly. Okay, that's honestly quite quite the pressure off me. The fact that that now works. Let's just clean this up a little, because this is like honestly embarrassing at this point. Just make things look a little more organized. And that's another downside to Blueprint. Well, you do also have to do this with code to a certain extent, but I also find myself falling into the issue where I want to make my blueprints look pretty, and that takes time. But it's not just for like visual reasons. It's also, this does make things easier to read when I go back to debug an issue. That said, at this point I'm also like doing it for visual reasons. Because it looks pretty okay. A nice blueprint kind of looks like a circuit board, which is funny because we're making like video games which run on computers which are circuit boards, and then the things that we use to make them are also like, they look like circuit. It's just, it's thematically interesting. See, isn't that just so much more readable than what it was before? I think it is, anyway. And this mess will just keep because I don't care about it. But this looks pretty as hell. So we can dash, we can attack, we can regain MP from attacking, which are some very important mechanics. I think at this point the only thing I need to do is adding the healing ability. So let's do that. Yeah, let's just do that. I should be pretty easy. To the point where I don't even think I necessarily need to make it an ability, but I'm going to make it an ability. Just to keep things like have them make a certain amount of sense, right? So gameplay ability will be GA player healing. And this should be as simple as apply gameplay effect to owner, and then remove gameplay effects from owner with asset tags. That works for me. So the gameplay, no, don't fuck with that. The gameplay effect will just be gameplay effect heal player. And for this I don't even need to open any fucking code or whatever. It's just going to be an infinite duration. And its period is going to be like 0.1. And its modifiers are going to be to my health. And what it's going to add is going to be based on another attribute, that being my maximum health. And it's going to be adding 1% every 10th of a second. So that would be 10% a second. I think that's a good place to start with. And then in the components, we add some tags, which is asset tags, and we I just realized this is going to need to be more complex because, again, it doesn't support clamping very easily here. So I'm probably going to need to make an execution for this as well. Or a modifier. Probably a modifier is enough. Do we have any, like, status healing? That should work. What happens with an infinite ability that has a cost? How does that even work? Oh, it's not... Oh, the ability has a cost, but it's... Okay, this might be a little bit more complex than I thought it was going to be. I thought the healing was going to be easy, but... maybe not. How do we deal with that? That is a very, very, very good question. Because, okay, so what the issue is, right, is I can add some modifiers here if I wanted to. Like, I can add another modifier which will take away my mana. But this won't stop the ability when my mana reaches 0. And even if I make an execution class for this, which I probably will have to in the end, that won't stop the ability itself when my mana reaches 0. Let's see if anybody is like asked this anywhere online. Unreal gameplay ability system. Continuous mana drain. Somebody exactly with this question on Reddit. Declare a delegate inside your attribute set. Check mana in post gameplay effect execute. If 0 or below, then fight a delegate which you subscribe to in some other class. For example, the character. There you can call cancel ability. So yeah, we're going to need to put like an entire execution for this. in, which means that I'm not gonna do shit right now with that. That is going to be more complicated than I thought it was gonna be, and I don't think I really feel up to that right now, if I'm being very honest with you. I'll add the gameplay queue to it though. I don't mind doing that at all. Because that is easy. So we can just say blueprint class, gameplay queue notify actor, and that will be our BP game gameplay queue actor is what I call them, I think. Player heal particles. For which we'll just add a Niagara particle system of type heal player. That's the one. And then in our class defaults, we'll just auto destroy on remove and auto attach to owner. It doesn't really matter. Gameplay queue tag is going to be a new one, I suppose. Player healing. Which we'll add in here. So going back into our C++, we can close this fucking clusterfuck of a class right now because I'm not going to be bothering with that. We don't need the game instance. We don't need the ability task tick thing. Spawner. Neither do we need that or that. And this we can pretty much. Oh, there's one very important last thing is we need to add a tag to our player that he is invincible. Let's do that first, because that seems like something that I'm easily gonna forget. So on our gameplay ability for dash, what I'll probably just do is like add loose gameplay tag. Make and make. Welcome back. Hopefully it does help with your elbow. It doesn't seem very nice to have a hurting elbow. Bit of a controversial take maybe, but I think we can just make that a status and then call that in Vin. I want to make sure that I spell this correctly. I always misspell invincible. There we go. It is very late for you indeed. Very good news though is after I fix this up, I'm probably going to end the stream for today. And interestingly enough, it's gonna be a bitch to playtest this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to pretend like this just works right out of the gate. And not test it, because testing this is going to be really annoying. But I think, aside from the fact that I just copied over a note that I need to not copy over, I think this should just do it, right? Because it adds the tag here, which, oh my god, this looks ugly as hell. And it removes it at the end again. And then in the player damage effects, which also needs some more execution logic to it. We'll get to that some other time. I'm assuming that I put that in enemy. Enemy damage to player. The target must not have invincible status. I'm gonna test this anyway, because I don't trust myself. Well, yeah, it's more early than late. I suppose you're right. I don't know if I got... Oh, wait a second. The ghosts don't... No, the ghosts do still deal damage. Never mind. This is so difficult to properly test. But it seems like it might be working. Wait, did I just get damage there? I think I just got damage there anyway. With these guys, it's a little easier to... Yeah, no, I still definitely got damaged. You know what we'll do? We're just not going to remove the tag. Meaning that if we dash once, we should just be invincible forever. And the moment we know that that works, we can then add back in the removal of that tag. I think that's the best way to go about doing this. So now we should be invincible. Wait, are we? Am I just, like, do I just suck at timing? No, we're not invincible. Never mind. Why not? Target must not have this tag. Now the question is, do I have that tag or not? I suppose we should. Can we just like get tags, something like that? Get own gameplay tags? Like, can we do a for each loop over these or something like that? Get tag name and then print that out. Just as an ID, right? Okay, so it's not printing out anything, so it's not adding those tags. I am adding tags through some other gameplay ability, and there it does work. So let's... I think it's in enemies. It is simple basic attack animation, I think. Yeah, add loose gameplay tags to the avatar. Make literal gameplay tag container. Make array. Just gonna copy this over, because I know for a fact that that does work on the other thingy-madoohickey. Okay. Still not printing out the tag, I notice, and I'm still getting damaged. So the fuck's up here? You know what? Actually, I think... Can I not... I don't have any gameplay effects in here, right? Can an ability not grant tags? Require tags. Activation blocked. Requires... Yeah. There we go. Activation owned tags. So now we can say invincible. And I don't even need to do all of this add gameplay tags to shit. So I probably should do that with my other actors that are using similar stuff as well. Hello, welcome to the live stream. Also, did I just disconnect? Is that the issue? No, because I was still dashing actually. That was not the issue. I'm losing my mind here, is what's happening. Okay, now somebody tries to damage me while I'm invincible. Which is... Okay. Actually, that's a pretty good idea. Just like dash into one of these projectiles, because that's probably the easiest way to check if I'm gonna get damaged or not. I didn't look at my HP. Yeah, that's still damaging me. I feel like that is still damaging me. Yeah, that's still damaging me. It doesn't fucking work. Why not? Yeah, losing your mind kind of comes with the job, yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. Doesn't mean I'm happy about it. I'm still learning this system, okay? There's a reason I haven't started the tutorials about it yet. Unreal gameplay ability system. Effects. Invincible. Tag? The moment I add tag to my search result, all the links become links I've already clicked, while I have never searched this before. Here's somebody saying about the gameplay ability system, I swear it's worth learning if your mental health can take it. My mental health is on the fucking breaking point, I'll tell you that much. I just want to show this meme. Because it is entirely too accurate. Like, this is true. Like, this is just straight up. This is not even a meme. This is just how I feel. There's not even a feeling. This is just truth. This is just what reality is. Like, Unreal fucking sucks with documentation in general, but gameplay ability system is an entirely new level of go fuck yourself. Anyway, I was trying to do an invincibility thing. Yeah, programming is mostly just being depressed and then very happy for a very short time before you go back to being depressed because you need to fix the next problem. Gameplay effects only on tags. My question is it... Is anything like being applied to me to begin with, right? That's my main question. So what I'm gonna do actually is in event tick, what I'm gonna do, I'm a genius. I'm just going to print out every single second all of the tags that I have. If that doesn't give me the information that I require, I don't know what will. So let's go for this. No tags. I do have the invincibility tag and the cooldown for the dash, but I do also have the invincible tag. It's hard to tell whether or not I just suck at dodging, though, is the thing, right? Okay, attack me again. I don't know if I'm actually invincible or if it's just like these guys suck at hitting me. Because I'm not getting hit. Okay, now I'm getting hit. You know what I need to do? I need to not try and test this out with two enemies at the same time. I think that would be a fantastic start. And here we've got one singular tutorial enemy that I can test out against. And that definitely seemed like it did damage to me, didn't it? That definitely seems like it did damage. But it's so hard to fucking tell. I've got a better idea. Add. On begin play, we're just simply going to add the invincible tag. What I wanted to do to begin with. Let's just add invincibility to our list from the start. So now it should start... Why not? Because because it's a copy, not a reference. I take it. Yeah, that couldn't go wrong, you'd think so. Let's see, we have in gameplay tags a bunch of getters, but I don't need something to get gameplay tags, I need something to set a tag or add a tag or whatever. Doesn't seem like I can do that. What is the best way to test this? Like literally just make... I have an idea. The F key. I don't think I use that for anything. Apply gameplay effect to self. Remove gameplay. Actually, I don't even need to remove. We can just make a gameplay effect that makes us invincible. I don't know why I was being such a little bitch about it. So gameplay effects. Gameplay effects. Iframes. And simply handles blocking the activation of gameplay abilities based on gameplay tags. Okay, so that's not what we need. Specific tag requirements that the target of the owning gameplay effects must have the gameplay effect should apply or continue execute. Let's just check that real quick. Does that also like have a must not have? That's good to know. I think that might be the thing that we need to do instead. But for now, let's see if we just put in I think this, and we say added here is the invincible tag. I think if we now press the F key, we should just become invincible. Remind me to remove this from the game. It's also just not doing it though. Is the thing? It's just not doing it. So do I misunderstand this? Target tag. Handles granting. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing here. I am so fucking lost. Well, that doesn't fucking work, so never mind any of that. What we will do instead is I'm going to try in the enemy to damage player. We're going to put that component we just noticed. The target tag requirements. Tag requirements of this gameplay effect have to be applied to a target. If this passes fail, gameplay effect fails to apply. Once applied, these tags requirements are used to determine if the gameplay effect is on or off. I could go for some really good water right about now to drown myself in. So we must not have invincible in order for this thing to take effect. That is what we're getting at, right? I've got a better idea. A way better idea to test this, actually, is our dashing ability, which is somewhere around here, I believe. It's gameplay effects. Where's the gameplay ability for the player dash? What we'll do is we'll just not move. For a duration of like 25 seconds. That'll make testing this a bunch easier. Don't know why I didn't think about that before. But now, if I dash, I will just be stuck in place for 25 seconds, looking like this. And in theory, invincible. Okay, 25 seconds might be quite a long time. But at some point we're going to come out of this. Okay, this feels longer than 25 seconds. Okay, there we go. So, don't dash in order to try to get closer to enemies quicker. Just be patient and just fucking do this. Maybe you should rotate towards me. Good news is, it does seem like I'm not getting damaged. So I think it works. I'm pretty sure it works because the projectile is dying when it hits me. It's just not applying. So, and now I'm getting damaged again. Figured it the fuck out. Hell yeah. That's amazing. Okay, so now let's go back into the player dash and set this back before I forget. Okay, that was a side tangent. We were gonna do something about the healing particles, I believe. We'll worry about all that stuff later. Let's see, this is set is healing. What is the best way to do this? First and foremost, just comment all this out. I guess what we do... This is not a great way to do this, because I feel like if you like open a menu, you're going to be able to get stuck in a healing position. Well, we need an else anyway. ability system. Thank you for that. I don't have a heal ability variable yet, but we'll make that in a second. Is it stop and ability? Can I not through code and an ability? Unreal, gas, and ability from character. And once again, a seemingly simple question doesn't have much information on it. Let's just say and ability without any specifications. Okay, maybe that is not the way to do it. Oh, client and ability. Ability to activate. But we need a spec handle for that. How do we get that? I have a better idea. I have a much, much better idea. We're going to just use this to start the ability, and then we're going to end the ability from inside the ability. I think that makes a lot more sense. So let's make this heal ability. Let's see, ability. Somewhere in here we have the dash ability. Thank you very much. That's exactly what I wanted. I'm going to, like, be honest with you here. This is the first time I'm, like, for an extended period of time using Copilot, and I've decided throughout the duration of this stream that I am, in fact, going to keep using it and pay for it. Because it's kind of awesome. And then we have the gameplay ability for healing somewhere here. So then we can wait for cancel input. This node will complete at a later time. Later nodes can be placed. Okay, but how do we define what cancel input means? Is my question then. Wait, cancel input. There's got to be a way to define that, right? We want to look through only the gameplay tasks, not all this other bullshit. Wait for input release. Wait until the user releases the input button for this ability's activation. Returns the time releasing. Okay, but can we like map that in some way then? Ability triggers maybe? Tag. Trigger source. Unreal map gameplay ability to input. How does that work? I've heard that you can do that. I just don't quite understand how. Oh, hold on, it's somewhere in here. Do we have the heal ability? Give ability heal. And then I saw a note here in the thumbnail. Set input binding. Set input. Yeah, no, that just straight up doesn't exist, does it? Because it is from a custom enhanced component, I think, is the issue. Let's see, inputs. Press input ID. Maybe, no. And the local player inputs, press the event to the provided input ID, notifying any bound abilities. But how do I bind abilities is the issue though, right? Oh, input ID, here we go. So we can say input ID is like 99 for this. Oh, that's a fucking horrible system. Release input ID 99. Okay, we're going to use the F key for this right now, just as like testing purposes. So we can say try activate ability, try activate ability by class, and we'll try to use our player healing. And then when we release it again, it should stop it. Is the theory at any rate. So wait input release. On release we end the ability. Let's give this a shot. But that's the issue here with the gameplay ability system partly. Is it is kind of overcomplicated as fuck. Oh yeah, also we're having live coding issues again. That doesn't seem to work though. Oh, I don't know. Maybe we do need to specifically try activate ability from spec if we're gonna use that like input ID system. That would make a certain amount of sense. Wait, I do have the queue setup. I don't have my chat open either. Sorry about that. It's now 6:20. Yeah, I'm going to need to like end this at some point. Gameplay queue, player healing. Somewhere in here we have the gameplay queue. Gameplay queue, player healing. That should just apply. Like straight up, that should just simply work now. But it doesn't. I don't quite understand why. Let's try it this way, right? Because we don't need to try to activate this ability. What we need to do is we need to press input ID 99. That will then activate the player healing ability. That makes sense to me. Just to make sure, I'm going to print a string whenever we activate this. It does activate. Now, the question is, does it immediately deactivate and don't do anything because of that? No, it's because it requires the modifier success to trigger the gameplay queue. And we don't have any modifiers, so that's probably why it's not triggering the gameplay queue. Okay, it was an interesting theory, but not much more than that. We were gonna do a thing here and I entirely forget what that is. Okay, at least the triggering and untriggering of this entire thing works the way I would expect it to. And it seems like this is just going to be easier to set up in Blueprint anyway. So a lot of the bindings that I have in C++ are going to start disappearing pretty soon as well. Which is great because that means that like this entire system is meant to be very Blueprint friendly, and it is. More so than using C++ even, which is great. Oh, I'm not applying any gameplay effect. That is okay. That is on me. Yeah, no, that is definitely like a me problem. Okay, so now it just straight up works, and now when I stop, it isn't removing because I didn't finish setting up the gameplay thing here. Because this has gameplay effects. I'm going to close a couple of these as well, I think, in a second. I probably can remove gameplay effect with handle, right? That probably will work as well. Yeah, I probably shouldn't just disappear like that. But But I think this is plenty good enough. So let's see, where do we have that gameplay queue? Do we still have that open? I don't think that we do. Oh, there it is. Do we have like a setting for that in the class defaults? Like, can we, if we delay this by 2 seconds, does it like let it play out and then destroy? Because that's kind of the way I want it. No, but it also doesn't seem to actually use that delay. I don't know. Let's just see what happens if we... It's kind of a little bit weird about it. But I don't like that it does it that way. So what it does now, I think, is it still does immediately hide it, but if I don't know why. Like, I don't mind the fact that it just starts with the ring fully formed. I actually quite like that. What I want is when I end this thing, for it not to instantly disappear. GAS is the gameplay ability system, which is a plugin for Unreal Engine that makes gameplay abilities and everything surrounding it easier to implement once you make your way through the headache that is learning it, which is what I'm in the process of doing right now. And it's kind of fucked. Sorry for bumping the microphone there. Auto activate, yeah. Like, going anywhere in here. Can I... say you should auto manage attachments? Is it in the particle system itself? I think it's a setting in there. Complete, let emitters finish, and then kill. It's already set to that, so that's not the issue. But I think I'm just gonna give up on this for now. We can activate and deactivate the ability now through a different way. I think I'm going to set up a few different input ways from C++. I'm going to put that all on Blueprint because that seems to make more sense with the way this is all laid out. The fact that it's using an input ID like integer system is absolutely fucking mind-boggling though. Um, like I get that that can be interesting and fun, but to me, this also very much feels like, hey, um, you're going to need to have an external like spreadsheet with information in it rather than just like having everything. Just work with objects. Just like makes so much more sense to do it that way. But anyway, this this works fine enough, and being able to use this input ID information inside of the gameplay abilities themselves is valuable enough to the point where for some of these things, at least for like the heal ability, I guess we'll implement this just in Blueprint then, maybe. And for now, I think we've made enough progress. We have that dash ability now. We have the mana regeneration. We have, well, that's pretty much everything we did. We didn't do that much in the last, like, what is it, 3 hours? 2.5 hours. But for now, I'm going to thank everybody for tuning in and watching. I'm going to try not to lose my mind any more than I already have. And I will probably be back doing some more level design type stuff, like improving the lighting in all the rooms that I haven't touched up yet, like this one, and obviously this one, because this is dark as hell. And actually the lighting in this room looks really good now that the colors are popping a little bit more. I'll probably be doing that early next week, and then we'll see where we go. If I can be bothered doing the rest of this this coding on stream, it does slow me down quite a bit doing things on stream. So we'll see. For now, though, I'm going to find my live stream button here and say